Driving in ideal weather on wide streets and highways that are dry, smooth, and problem-free can make you feel like king of the road. When you took your driving test, chances are the driving conditions were just like that. But there's an old sailor saying that a master mariner was never made on a calm sea. And a truly safe, competent driver was never made in perfect driving conditions. Well, certainly most of your driving will be done when you have good visibility, good traction, and good lighting, but every driver eventually, and sometimes often, runs into conditions where almost all the normal driving factors change, and for the worse. Driving rain can cut your vision drastically, making it hard for you to see other drivers and for them to see you. Your brakes feel different, your tires have less grip on the road, and skids, especially on oily surfaces, come much easier. Snow and ice are even worse. In severe cases, visibility can be cut to a few yards, and all the usual rules of braking go out the window. Your tire's grip on ice can be almost zero, and the cars around you have exactly the same problems. Fog can not only cut visibility to zero, it's sneaky, taking you from broad daylight into a milky whiteout in an instant, the cause of multiple car chain pileups on major highways. Even on the clearest day, the sun can blind you and keep you blinded for seconds and do the same to other drivers. Even the twilight of dusk and dawn can be deceiving, making oncoming cars blend into the background. The darkness of night compounds nearly all the conditions of weather and visibility, posing its own set of challenges to safe driving. Weather, vision, and the road itself can change the safe driving equation in many ways to catch the unwary or careless driver off guard. Listen to the words of one who has seen what weather can do.
The first snow or ice storm of the year always has the same results. People keep driving like it's sunny and 70 degrees. First thing you know, they're driving in each other, driving into ditches, striking light poles. Happens the same way every year. Rain, that's almost as bad, especially on a slick road. When you're driving the limit in the rain and have to stop or swerve suddenly, it's a recipe for losing control. And fog, don't even mention that to me. I've seen my counterparts in California pulling people out of cars in a mile-long wreck, all because fog kept people from seeing cars stop ahead of them, and yet they don't slow down.
Well, it seems like even the elements are out to get you when you get behind the wheel, doesn't it? Well, there's no reason to get uptight about it. Countless drivers have driven for decades in all sorts of weather and never so much as dinged a fender. They learned how to handle bad weather and adjusted their driving to it. Now, they don't fear bad weather, but they do respect it, and that's the secret. Remember the SAFE technique, S-A-F-E. 4 letters that protect your safety in good weather can also work for you when the elements turn negative. When visibility is low, you need more time to use the SAFE technique. But you can stay on a safe path of travel by adjusting it this way. First, by adding an initial S, slowing down, to give yourself more time and to be better ready to stop if necessary. Then, another S, for scanning in and around your path of travel to identify hazards early before they become real threats. The next step, anticipating whether any of the vehicles ahead or on either side will turn or slide or maneuver into your intended path of travel. Then, figuring well ahead what you might need to do to avoid a collision if any of the potential hazards become real threats. And this generally means leaving more room than normal between you and other vehicles in the area you're scanning. Finally, executing your planned action gently and more slowly, since you've allowed space for it. This makes sure you maintain control of your vehicle and it lets others around you recognize what you're doing. Now, before we go out on the road, a quick word about a safety factor many people overlook. Clean glass. Dirty windows can restrict your line of sight. Moisture can form on your windshield, often after you're moving. Wipers and defroster take time to get rid of it, so you may drive blind until they kick in. Very unsafe. Before you even start, let your front and rear window defrosters warm up. Use your air conditioner or heater if it'll help. Even open the windows. Anything that'll help defog the glass. And if you live in a state where this is a problem, take the time to scrape it off completely, not just a little porthole to peek out of. Do it front, back, and sides. You can't safely drive on icy roadways with frost blocking most of your vision. Now let's look at some practical tips for handling what the road has to offer. First, some situations you can run into in everyday fair weather driving. On the sunniest day, yes, the sun can be a problem to you and other drivers. When this happens, quickly shorten your scanning distance to the road or cars directly ahead and keep your eyes moving side to side to avoid being blinded by a fixed image of the sun. Lower the sun visor slowly to mask the sun without blocking your view of your path of travel. If you have sunglasses, put them on without taking your eyes from the road, but take them off when the problem passes. And decrease your speed very slightly, not abruptly, remembering drivers behind you may be blinded from seeing any quick deceleration. If the sun is behind you, help oncoming drivers see you by turning on your low beams. Stay alert for oncoming drivers wandering into your lane or missing your signals, even not seeing your vehicle. Driving at dawn and dusk can present the opposite problem, not enough light. But again, driving with your low beams on can help other drivers see you, making you stand out in the low visual contrast common to twilight. Night driving only multiplies the visibility challenges to drivers. Even city lights and your own headlights don't wipe out the areas of darkness that can hide hazards. So, keep these tips in mind when driving at night. When scanning ahead, pay special attention to areas on the right and left of your intended path of travel. They are the least lit where people, vehicles, and even animals may suddenly emerge. You also have to combine safe driving with headlight etiquette. When driving in the city with a steady flow of oncoming traffic, stay on your low beams to avoid blinding or, at the very least, irritating oncoming drivers. Don't start a game of dueling headlights that nobody ever wins. On the open road, you should switch to high beams that let you see further down the road. And don't limit your scanning distance to the length of your high beams. Look beyond them to lights and silhouettes and skyline that can give you early input on things in your driving path. Stay on your high beams when there are no oncoming vehicles within approximately a half mile. Switch to your low beams when they come within that distance. Also, use low beams when you are within 200 yards of the taillights of a car ahead of you or one that has just passed you. The rule of thumb, avoid shining your high beams in the eyes of other drivers, either from their front or in their rear view mirrors. If an oncoming driver fails to dim his high beams, quickly flick your high beams for a split second to remind him. On most new cars, the headlight control lever makes this easy without keeping the brights on too long, which can invite retaliation. If the approaching driver stays with his brights, don't fire back with yours. Instead, slow down and move to the right, keeping your eyes on that side of the road to avoid staring into his lights. When he passes, resume your normal scan distance. You may have heard the term overdriving your headlights. It means driving at a speed that makes your stopping distance longer than the reach of your headlights. Avoid doing it, especially on slick road surfaces. There's a quick and easy method of finding whether you're driving within the limits of your headlights. As you drive, pick out a feature ahead of you, such as a tree, road sign, or overpass, the instant it comes into your headlight beams. Then, using the 1001, 1002, 1003 method, count to 4 seconds. If you have reached your checkpoint before getting to 4, or exactly at the same time, you may assume you can stop on a dry, hard surface road within the range of your headlights. If you pass the checkpoint, you're overdriving your lights and inviting an accident. Slow down and run this check again until you arrive at a safe speed. Now, let's talk about safe driving when the weather turns bad. Rain is probably the kind of foul weather you'll encounter most. Visibility is, again, a concern. Handle it by doing these things. First, keep your windshield clear by immediately turning on your wipers and turning your defroster on high to keep the windshield from fogging. Also, turn on your low beams to help your vision and let other cars easily see you. In many states, lights are required anytime wipers are on. And extremely important, reduce your speed. Stopping on wet pavement carries a whole different set of standards than stopping in fair weather. For example, the normal stopping distance on a dry road for a car traveling 45 miles an hour is about 145 feet. But coat that same surface with rain, and stopping can easily take 50% further. On such surfaces as oily, smooth asphalt, it can take up to 10 times further. Another dangerous phenomenon in the rain is hydroplaning. During higher speed braking, tires can actually lose contact with the road surface and ride on a thin film of water. When that happens, the driver becomes a passenger, and the vehicle does what it wants, often spinning out of control with disastrous results. So make slowing down your first step in dealing with rain. The proper way to do that is to apply firm, even pressure to the brake pedal. Don't pump the brakes. Newer anti-lock braking systems will automatically apply the right amount of braking force to the ground. And remember, pedal vibration and noise are signs the system is working properly. The hazards of wet weather often remain after the rain stops, in the form of standing water. If you're forced to drive through it, slow down to avoid hydroplaning. And when you're through it, tap the brakes lightly to dry them out, because wet brakes can lose almost all of their braking ability. Here's a driving hazard that taxes the ability of even the most skillful drivers: fog. It can bring visibility down to near zero, and in some cases to absolute zero. Generally, it comes in patches, which means you can drive into it suddenly from broad daylight. Here are the proper ways to handle it. Immediately turn on your low beams. High beams will reflect off the fog, making it appear more dense and reducing your field of vision. Low beams will not only help you see better, but help others see you. Slow down. If you maintain normal road speed, you can come on a slow-moving or stopped car so suddenly you can't stop without a collision. This is what causes mile-long pileups in some states. Avoid changing lanes unless absolutely necessary. Open your windows enough to hear traffic you may not be able to see. Windshields usually begin to fog over, so use your wipers and defrosters to keep them clear. With your windows open, you can maintain side vision. Be patient. Don't pass lines of traffic. In some cases of dense fog and smoke, you may be safer to pull off and stop. Be sure you are well off the road with your hazard lights on. Better still, pull off into a driveway, parking lot, or rest area and wait it out. You're better off waiting for fog to clear than risking an accident. Driving in snow and ice presents many of the same problems as in rain and fog, with one hazard being much worse: poor traction. The first winter storm always brings a rash of accidents before drivers adjust. Don't make that mistake. Start following these winter driving tips the moment snow and ice begin setting in. Slow down. On icy pavement, stopping distances can be more than 10 times longer than on bare, dry pavement. And vehicles can quickly spin out of control, often into oncoming traffic. Always drive much slower than the posted limit. Use your low beams and increase your following distance behind the car ahead of you to no less than 10 seconds. Avoid quick acceleration, hard braking, and fast turns. And remember, if your vehicle has anti-lock brakes, do not pump the brake pedal. Sometimes even the best drivers will find themselves in a skid. If it happens to you, when you first feel your car losing traction, take your foot off the gas and the brake. The temptation often is to apply the brake hard, which is exactly the wrong thing to do. Then steer your car in the direction you want to go. This will help your wheels regain traction. Remember, if you lock your wheels, your car becomes a four-legged table and cannot be steered. The time to get ready for any kind of foul weather driving is before you take to the road, by seeing that your vehicle is in good operating condition. Remember, your driver's license and your vehicle are your keys to freedom on our nation's streets, roads, and highways. But like every other freedom, they carry responsibility to yourself and to other drivers. And you can be a responsible driver by using forethought, planning ahead, and paying attention to the tips and techniques we've covered here. They can carry you safely through any driving situation and any kind of weather you may run into. Be careful, be alert, and be safe.